I haven't made a video dedicated to George Floyd. I've mentioned the name and I referenced the incident in previous videos, not because I care about George Floyd or any of that nonsense, but because the riots that have sprung forth from this event. For those who don't know, living under a rock, there have been violent Black Lives Matter activist riots all throughout the United States, mostly in corrupt Democratic-run cities. The city I live in being one of them, a sanctuary city. A police officer was shot in the head. He is paralyzed, so he's likely going to need a ventilator to breathe for the rest of his life. Young guy, just 2-3 years younger than me, and it was very unfortunate. This guy had his whole life ahead of him, and it was taken away from him because of what happened to George Floyd. Now, initially, like everybody else, the video was somewhat distressing. In situations like this, I like to put myself in the shoes of the alleged victim, of the person who's the recipient of the police brutality. And I would wonder how it would feel if there were all these people standing around watching me die and allowing the police brutality to ensue. I didn't have enough information to genuinely opine on the matter. Like I said, I opined on it, or I referenced it. I invoked the situation here and there in previous videos, but I never dedicated a video to it. And this is it. And I'm not going to do a deep dive into what occurred. There's plenty of people who've done that already. I don't want to bore people to death, but I really want to, this is going to be a cautionary tale about jumping to conclusions and making assumptions without adequate evidence. Because when you do that, you end up with egg on your face. And the modern left is really good at doing this. So I have images here of the video from the perspective of the civilian. This carefully, strategically edited video that was published on the internet that went viral internationally. It depicts a smug, douchebag-looking cop seemingly kneeling on the neck of a man who appears to have been detained, who does not appear to be resisting. He's pleading for his life, and he's predicting that he's going to die, and he did. George Floyd unfortunately passed moments after he said these things. People were outraged, maybe rightfully so. I argue not, because again, we don't have all the facts. We don't know what was going on here. What happened prior to the filming that was published? What happened? When they received the call, what was his condition? Before they made contact. There's just I had a lot of questions. So I wasn't ready to condemn the police officers like many people have. The Amazing Atheist did an hour-long response video to me, calling me a fucking retard, and his 14-year-old fans who he sells t-shirts to were saying all these really mean things to me. That didn't hurt my feelings, but this is what happens when you don't want to just go out and start making baseless claims. You don't want to have egg on your face. The left is really good at doing this. They see a strategically edited video, it goes viral, and they just run wild with it. And then when all is said and done, when all the damage is done, the dust settles, the truth springs forth from the ashes. And it usually, doesn't look good for them. So I needed more information. So if we scroll down here, after this initial video, then this image right here, you have an image right here. Now you have multiple police officers on top of George Floyd. Maybe this is a contributing factor to his death. I don't know. I wasn't there. Just one strategically edited video, you only see like 5% of George Floyd's body. And now we have a full picture. But does this tell the whole story? Is this sufficient evidence to condemn a group of men and women, or the police force? No, I argue no, not really. I know people want to jump to conclusions right away and make their hot takes and make their money, but I refused. And then, of course, we got the body cam footage. Then we got the coroner's report. And it told a whole different story. It gave us nearly the full picture. George Floyd was a drug addict. The moment of the arrest, when they made contact, he was visibly on drugs. He may have had an episode during the police encounter. He said that he couldn't breathe before he was laid on the ground. The police didn't put him on the ground because they were roughing him up, as some goofball would suggest, like Hunter Avalon. Didn't happen. He was foaming at the mouth. This was identified. This was in the police body cam transcript. And it was, I don't think the footage was good enough to notice on the body cam actual 30-minute long footage. But yeah, this guy was resisting arrest the entire time. Now, just before I continue, I'm not saying that he deserved it. I'm not saying he had it coming. I'm not saying this was justified. I'm not saying this punishment fits the alleged crime or none of that. I'm not saying any of that at all. I'm pro-peace. I'm anti-violence. I'm pro-open inquiry. Justice, being judged by a jury of your peers, going through the proper channels, all that stuff. I'm not into this whole street justice bullshit. None of that. And from reading the body cam transcript footage, seeing the actual footage itself, it didn't appear that the police officers weren't, being antagonistic, being unfair. They seem to have been doing their best to conduct this arrest. And it was made difficult because of the condition that George Floyd was in and because of his actions. I mean, this is obvious. I'm not saying anything profound here. It's very important to keep these things in mind. Let's look at the coroner's report really quick. I'm gonna leave links in the description, and I'm not pulling this out of my ass or some very obscure website. This is from the Hennepin County's medical examiner's office, and there's some things that I want to highlight here. So we go to part 3. This is the most relevant portion. Again, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can decide on your own, come to your own conclusions if you'd like. So the most important parts. No injuries of interior muscles of neck or laryngeal structures. No scalp, soft tissue, skull, or brain injuries. No chest, wall, soft tissue injuries, rib fractures, other than a single rib fracture from CPR, vertebral column injuries, or visceral injuries. So what the fuck is this? Yeah, so this doesn't appear to be an instance of police brutality. He wasn't brutalized, per this medical examiner's report. Let's go down here for a little bit. So the blood, drug, and novel psychoactive substances screens. He had fentanyl in the system, norfentanyl, methamphetamine, hydroxydelta THC. And if you go down here, urine drug screen presumptive positive for cannabinoids, amphetamines, and fentanyl. It's very likely that George Floyd died as a result of the deadly combination of drugs in his system. He was clearly having an episode. The man was clearly in medical distress. They summoned an ambulance, and I got there, when I got there. These people weren't neglecting George Floyd. They seem to have, I don't know if doing their best is the right word, or the right choice of words, but it seems like they were at least attempting to do the right thing. But this narrative, but this event is framed as a racist event, a naked declaration of disgusting racism was exhibited in the arrest, the detention, and the death of George Floyd. This is an example of police bias, according to the modern left. And I like to ask these people, where's the element of racism in this event? We have body cam transcripts. We had the body cam footage itself. All the strategically edited videos from the citizens that went viral, they don't depict any sort of racism. Bias, let's talk about bias. Were the police targeting George Floyd because of the color of his skin? Were they targeting him for immutable characteristics? No. At least there's no evidence that has been brought forth to suggest otherwise. The police were called on George Floyd because he was allegedly committing a crime. The police investigated it. He obviously was not in any sort of condition to be operating a motor vehicle. He was endangering the lives of many people in the area. The narrative that has been promoted, manufactured, astroturfed, it's not true. It's not reality. And it's very likely that we're going to have a repeat of the violent rioting in the United States if these police officers end up being cleared of all wrongdoing. Be prepared for that. But we've seen this before. The hysteria, the violent reaction from the modern left. They did this with the Covington Catholic kids. There was a strategically edited video published on Twitter. Me and Tim Pool came storming out of the gates, guns blazing, defending those fucking kids. Because the modern left, the liberals, the Democrats, even elected officials in the United States were making phony baloney claims about the kids. Tens of thousands of people were doxing these children, which means publishing their personal information so they can be harassed and threatened and intimidated by liberals and leftists and so on and so forth. They were threatened. Police had to camp outside the school of the Covington Catholic children. All because of a strategically edited video. And literally within 24 to 48 hours, multiple streams were published on the internet. 2 to 3 hour long streams. No racism exhibited by the Covington Catholic boys. They were behaving. They were being, they were just being kids. They didn't say anything mean or hostile or racist. They weren't threatening the children. The narrative that was manufactured, strategically created to stir up this drama got the whole world into a frenzy. And as a result, those kids are winning their lawsuits. They're going to be millionaires. Many of them are going to be millionaires because of what happened. This is the left. They got egg on their face. Same with Brett Kavanaugh. Same shit. They got taken in by the fucking bullshit narratives of the Me Too movement, of the prevailing ethos at the time of the modern left, which, by the way, they seem to have abandoned. But they got tricked. I don't want to get tricked because it seems like an embarrassing ordeal to go through. So I kept my fucking mouth shut. We have so much more information now. And it seems like George Floyd's name has been forgotten for the most part. Now it's not really about police brutality or police justice or criminal justice reform. Now it's about really sticking it to the white man. Overthrowing Western civilization, dispensing with our constitutional rights, and reimagining American history through the lens of violent Marxists. Because of what happened to George Floyd, between 30 to 40 people have been murdered, have been killed, directly related to this event. Crime is on the rise in most major cities, many major cities, because police are being defunded. Granted, there's probably no money to fund them anyways because no one's fucking working or paying taxes. How could you? These Democrats took our jobs, literally. I don't know. And it's unfortunate that my fellow contemporaries here on the platform, other content creators, are lying and running interference, running cover, spreading lies for the Marxists, for the violent Black Lives Matter activist thugs. People like the Amazing Atheist. He's a fucking liar. He called me a fucking retard because I refused to condemn the police officers because I didn't have enough information to make a definitive statement of fact. Hunter Avalon, another serial liar. Jacqueline Glenn, that goofball. The Yankee Marshal, I like to call him Antifa Santa Claus. He's a fucking liar. He's completely lied about what occurred in Chaz. He's lying about the violent rioting in Portland. They're just throwing water bottles. That's what he says. They're just throwing water bottles. That's bullshit. And he knows it. We have eyes. We can see the damage, the destruction. We have ears. We can hear their cries for a violent revolution. Their calls for the overthrowing of Western civilization. We can hear that. We have a brain. We can understand what their true motives are. It's not a secret, man. But why is it that they have to, what else? Just really quickly. George Floyd had COVID. He had COVID-19. Why couldn't this be the cause of death? Would have been convenient, given that they're trying to push for more lockdowns and more draconian, unconstitutional edicts to oppress the people. But yeah, the WebMD, George Floyd tested positive for COVID-19. June 4th, 2020, George Floyd, who died while being restrained by Minneapolis police on May 25th, tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. According to the medical examiner's report released on Wednesday, the coronavirus didn't affect his death, according to the report. Well, why not? Why not? If you get in a motorcycle accident and you test positive for COVID, I don't even know if they even fucking did it. It's obviously bullshit. But a man who died in a motorcycle crash counted as a COVID-19 death in Florida report. They're obviously cooking the books, man. They're obviously fucking with us and being disingenuous. But yeah, man, this is what happens when you jump to conclusions. You make assumptions, baseless assumptions, without evidence. You get egg on your face. Brett Kavanaugh, Covington Catholic kids, the Jussie Smollett, that pussy Smollett situation, that fucking dork. I knew that was a lie. The minute TMZ published that article, made a lengthy post on Facebook. This is 100% a fucking lie. It is demonstrably obvious that it is a lie. Same with the Brett Kavanaugh drama. Same with the Covington shit. And now with George Floyd. Now, I didn't know what went on at the worst case scenario, in my opinion, prior to the original videos that were published by the citizens. I was under the impression that the cops fucked up. This is a clear example of negligence. They didn't take into account. They weren't sensitive to his medical needs. My reasoning was these are cops. They interact with regular citizens all the time, especially unruly ones who are on drugs, who are doing bad things to themselves, and they should have known better. That was the worst case scenario. But it seems like none of that. My initial assessment of the situation was wrong, and I'm so glad I didn't put it to pen and paper or typed it out in a post, because then I would look like a dumbass, like the Amazing Atheist, who's oh yeah, by the way, he got raked over the fucking coals for that video that I initially responded to where he was praising the rioters. And one of the things that I criticized him for, it was likely one of the reasons why he ended up responding to me in the first place, was because he was lifting a lot of his opinions from George Carlin. I'm not going to rehash a lot of the things that were said. I just think it's slimy and scummy to invoke the words of other people and pass them off as your own without giving them credit. I'm not under the illusion that I'm the most original guy in the world. And when I say or do things that aren't completely original or my own, I give credit where credit is due. I say, oh, I heard from Matt Christensen. Oh, I agree with Six Hexenhammer. Oh, Sean Fitzgerald fucking nailed it. Oh, Jared Taylor stated this in his book. Robert Barnes, Viva Fry, this, and that. I give credit where credit's due. When I'm talking about gun stuff, I was like, I got this idea from James Yeager, or Warrior Poet Society gave this advice and I think it's good, and then I expand on it. I'm not out here trying to pretend that that what I'm saying is completely original on my own. I give fucking credit where credit is due. When I use clips from other content creators, I post links like Atheism is Unstoppable, Devin Tracy. I give credit, man. I ain't trying to fucking front. I'm not trying to game anyone, so don't fucking try to game me. By the way, somebody who actually knows George Carlin, I was gonna see him at the Orleans. Let me say something about George Carlin, Amazing Atheist. He would fucking hate you. He would detest you with every fiber of his being. You're a fucking gluttonous sack of shit. You're a fucking liar. You're a hack. You're a serial plagiarist. And you're a consumer whore. George Carlin hates consumer whores. You're one of them. And you're a fucking hypocrite. You ramble on about capitalism is bad no matter what, which is fine, whatever, I don't care. But you're also one of its most willing participants with all your cringy fucking cape shit, Marvel, DC, cringe nonsense in the background. It's like, yeah, this is how you choose to present yourself online. It's like, yeah, I got I got all this stupid fucking Disney toys, all this fucking lame nonsense. And then I like how his 14-year-old fans who he sells t-shirts to were trying to fucking criticize me, saying like I'm a poor man's razor fist. I'll take it. I'd rather be that than a fucking hack, than a fucking liar, a serial plagiarist, passing off ideas as if they're my own, because that's fucking lame, bro. That's absolutely lame. And the poor man's razor fist. By the way, I need to wear these sunglasses because I'm photolight sensitive and partially blind. Fuck off. Peace out.